Hi, I'm Phil, and I'm here to tell you how twisted my life was. No, I'm kidding. I'm here to tell you about the faithfulness of God. My very first memory as a child is unfortunately that of the day that my father committed suicide, and needless to say that unfortunately it didn't get a lot better from there on. My childhood was plagued with violence, abuse, adultery, alcoholism, sexual abuse, and I mean, on top of that, we had a very unstable family, and we moved around between like 12, I think we moved 12 times in 10 years. But to be honest, as a young child, it didn't really affect me all that much, as I was generally a happy child, and I excelled in school, academically, and sport, and I really had a lot to take my mind off of things. But it was in high school really where the elephant poo hit the jet engine. After my first term in Standard 6, I got home one afternoon, and my mom said, "We're moving to Petersburg." So as a young, obedient, as a young child, I packed my bags and we hit the road without me even getting an opportunity to say goodbye to my friends. And this is really my first day at my new school, is where Satan sent Jezebel, to become my best friend, and my life really took a bit of a very like a bad turn for the worse, in my new school. And I think this is where the generational curse of alcoholism and violence and just the messed up stuff really started kicking in and gaining momentum. And 3 terms later, we moved back to Rustenburg again. So with all of this, it really left me with a bit of an issue regarding my identity, and I think that's why I ended up being the first team hockey and golf player who got an A for maths, but was a skateboarding breakdancer who plays guitar, and smokes weed and ends up in hospital on his 18th birthday for alcohol poisoning. So, and also needless to say, I didn't really find my identity in any of those things either. After high school, I went on to study metallurgical engineering, but lost my stepfather literally a week before I started my studies, and we'd literally just reconciled our relationship a couple of months prior to that. So I took a bit of a blow there, and again, needless to say, I went on to greater debauchery, greater subconscious depression, alcohol abuse, and it really didn't help my situation in any way, shape or form, to the point where I really lost respect for myself, for others, for God, and to the point where one night I got home and I looked up to the ceiling and I cursed God, which I don't recommend to anybody, but it really shows you the extent to which a loving and a faithful God will go to get back one of his children. I then dropped out of university. I met a girl, and she had in turn moved to England, and I duly followed. And I know I sound like I'm repeating myself here, but life took a worse turn even than before, where it's really an environment conducive to a lot of ungodly behavior, and to which I also responded quite positively. And until basically I arrived back in South Africa 2.5 years later, playing in what I probably now think was a terrible rock band, but as empty as any human could possibly even dream to be. The first job interview I went for in Pretoria was for a Christian businessman in the construction game, which I had been doing up to that stage in England, and he invited me to church time and time again, and eventually I thought I'll get him off my back and I'll go. And this man was key in leading me to God, and I got saved on that Sunday through a very, very emotional and intense experience. I know for a fact that the hand of God touched me on that day, because I don't think naturally anything like that can happen. And it was only 3 weeks later that I actually, on a men's camp, that I completely committed to the call and was delivered from alcoholism and from a whole lot of emotional bondage. A couple of months later, I ended up in Bible college, and I'm sure, as many of you will know, it's the coolest place you will ever possibly go to. And God started working in my life, and the journey since then. I mean, I lost my mom at second year at Bible college as well, but I'd known that I'd found my true father, and it really made it a whole lot easier to deal with it. So the journey, the last couple of years has been one of a war. But one I'd honestly fight 1,000 times over when I look at what God has done in my life, and the changes that He's made. And so it is actually up until only a couple of weeks ago, well, in fact, the 18th of June of 2012, where I really found out, where God told me exactly what my purpose is in this life, and which is to know Him and to make Him known. There's an awesome quote that says that today I'll do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't. And it's with that that I live in mind with now. And I have a revelation on the unfailing love and the faithfulness and the goodness of God, and which propels me on a daily basis. And it is with this in mind that I will grow every day towards all that God has created me to be.